Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our series on empowering business owners in 2024. So, today we're going to be tackling the essential topic how to choose the right tax professional. So, this choice can make a huge difference in your financial well being. So, let's discuss the key questions to ask when making this important decision. But before we get into this lovely topic, I need to introduce myself. So, my name is Shane Harris, and around here on all these social media platforms, I'm also referred to as Shane the Negotiator. And I help coaches, consultants, and service providers who are overwhelmed and lack guidance to achieve true financial freedom. And I do that by providing expert tax and coaching services. So that's what I do. That is who I help. So let's get on into our topic. Today, we're going to be talking about choosing your tax professional, the right questions to ask. So, choosing a tax professional isn't just about filing your taxes, it's about finding a partner who can provide strategic advice, ensuring compliance and optimizing your tax position. The right professional can save you time and money and help you avoid costly mistakes. So, let's get into some questions. So, what's your experience with my industry? That's one of the questions that you want to ask. So, first, ask question about their experience with your specific industry. Different industries have unique tax considerations and, of course, challenges. So, a tax professional with experience in your field will be more likely to provide relevant, tailored advice. So, when I always start off with my lovely intro, well, I'm giving you that intro so I can tell you what industry that I've niched down in, the industry that I chose to specialize in, which is coaches, consultants, and service-based businesses. Now, you might reach out to many tax professionals, and most of us, if we're into business taxes, we can do business taxes for any business. I can do a business tax for any business. Many of us can do that. However, we niche down to a specific area because tax laws change constantly, as I've mentioned several times in the past. And in order for us to give you a better chance, we specialize in certain areas. Now, my area of expertise falls along many industries. I just mainly talk about heavily coaches, consultants, and service-based businesses. And I say service-based because it's many industry that falls under service-based that I am proficient in. So if I'm not proficient in a particular industry and you come to me to do your taxes, I'm going to be able to do it because I'm a professional. I'm specialized in small business as well. So I can do your tax, but will I do it to the best of my ability? Probably not if I am not up to date with all of the laws in that particular industry. So for an example of that, let's just say you come in and you have a trucking business. You're a trucker and you come to me to do your taxes. I can help you do your taxes, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to be able to give you the maximum deductions and credits that you're eligible for without doing some research. I will have to go and do some research on this particular industry because it is not an area of expertise for me. So it'll take me some time to go through and do this research so that I can help you. So during tax season, I oftentimes don't have the time to do additional research for a brand new industry that I'm not familiar with. So in the off season, that's when I likely will go through and, re-up my knowledge on particular industries that I feel like I might be interested in starting to be an expert in. So during tax season, if you come to me and you're a trucker, I don't want to have to go through and research all this information because it's going to be time consuming and I don't have the time for that. So one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to partner with someone. So one of my many colleagues that I have, I'll reach out to those who are into the trucking industry and say, hey, I have a client that is a trucker industry and I need you to help me do their taxes. So I will partner with them so they can help me. Of course, it won't be for free. I'm going to have to give them a little something, to help me. or I will refer you directly to them. They may give me a finder's fee or referral fee for sending them such an awesome client yourself. So those are the two options that I'm going to present. Either I'm going to refer you to one of my colleagues, or I'm going to partner with one of my colleagues so that I can help you, especially if you have businesses in the other areas that I am proficient in versus passing you on to someone else who may not have experience in those other areas. I'll keep you as a client, but I will likely partner with someone for that area because it's not in my expertise. However, if it's just for trucking and you don't have any other businesses that I can help you with, then likely I'll refer you to one of my colleagues. So I know I have experience in several different industries, some of which are, of course, coaches, consultants, and service providers. You guys, one of my faves, and I say one of because you're not my only fave. I have other industries that I do like and that I do help. So I'm also proficient in gig workers. So like independent contractors, like if you're Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, you're like nannies and things like that. I'm proficient in helping you. And of course, one of my old-time favorites I don't really talk too much about because I left this industry. I've worked many, many years. My entire adult life, I've worked in the healthcare industry up until 2019 when I left and went into taxation. So healthcare, whether it's dentistry, it's medical professionals like doctors, CNAs, nurses, you name it, I have experience in that area. If it's mental health, I have experience in that area also. So a lot of therapists fall into that category as well. So those, and then of course, one of my other favorites, e-commerce. I can't forget e-commerce. I have e-commerce clients. They will get me if I don't mention that. So e-commerce is one of the other area industries that I am proficient in, that I help in those areas as well. And of course, I have some experience in restaurants because why not? I like to eat, right? So no, that's not the only reason why, but I do have some experiences there. So if it's other industries that I might not have listed right now that falls under service-based. I like service-based because since I'm virtual, service-based to me just makes more sense, and I love service-based businesses. So of course, if you're product-based, of course, like e-commerce, things like that, of course, I still help, but I prefer the service-based businesses, even though I can help others. So you want to ask that question, what is your experience with that particular industry, so that you will know if they can help you or not. So if they're like, yeah, I don't have experience, or you can tell based on someone's answer if they have experience or not. Now, there's a difference between someone just being nervous because they're newer in the business. They may have the expertise, but they're just nervous speaking to you. You'll be able to tell that versus someone who do not have experience in that particular industry, because they're not going to know the questions to ask you. And when you ask questions, they're not going to know how to give you those responses. So if you are educated and knowing the right questions to ask and the things to look out for, then you will be able to pick this up when you sit on consultations with a new person that you have not worked with before. And sad to say, even if you've been working with a professional before, it does not mean they were the right professional for you. They may be the right professional for somebody else, but may not be for you in your business or your personal needs. So, number one, what is your experience in the industry? Number two, how do you stay updated on tax laws? Now, this one is very important. I get on you guys all the time about being up to date in your business and knowing the ins and outs and how to manage and work your business, at least on the basic level, so that you can scale and grow. So when it comes to taxes, you definitely want your professional to be updated on the tax laws because they change constantly. Right now, there's some up in air with the child tax credit, which with the amount, it might be 3,600, it might be something else, who knows? It's up in the air right now. So there's no official word out on that. It's still kind of going back and forth. So if your professional don't know this, they may try to file your taxes right now. If you are a person that qualifies for child tax credit, they may file your return, and then next week, the child tax credit may have increased possibly or decreased. You never know. And then now they have to do an amendment. So versus if they were up to date on this law, like myself, and I know this, I'm not filing anybody's tax returns until February, at least mid-February. You come to me to file your taxes, we're going to start the process, but I am not submitting any returns until February. That is generally how I operate with my clientele. I do have some earned income credit clients, and that clients that receive child tax credit. It's not many, but I do have them. I do not file them in January when the rush starts, which this year, the individual tax filing starts January 29th. I will not be filing any individual taxes on that day. I need to make sure those tax laws is clear and regulations is done and everything is on point before I start filing tax returns, because I don't want to have to do an amendment later, because an amendment is going to cost me time and it may cost you money. Okay, so the next questions. Before we get into that, so yes, you want to are they updated on the laws? Tax laws change frequently, as I said. So you want to inquire how they stay current with the changes and how they inform their clients about the relevant updates. This ongoing education is important for effective tax planning and, of course, compliance. So when the tax professional gets those updates for the tax law change, well, do they tell you about it? Do they send out an email? I mean, I'm not saying they should pick up the phone, because I'm not trying to call my tax clients. I'm not doing that. However, do you at least send out an email, a mass email to all of the clients that it might apply to and update them? Do your tax professional do that? And if they don't, you might want to ask them why, or you may want to get with somebody else that's going to fit your needs in a better way. So question number 3, can you provide references? So that's a big one. You have the proof, you have the receipts. The proof is in the pudding, right? So you want to request references or testimonials, especially from clients in similar businesses. So people who are in your industries, you want to get those testimonials and see the evidence that they were helping other people that's similar to you. Because if I'm a client of yours or you're a client of mine, and you're ranting and raving about how I've helped you in the trucking industry, not me, because I don't do truckers. However, if another client comes in as e-commerce and they ask you, well, how was the experience? You can only give the experience from your point of view of how I helped you you being in the trucking industry. You wouldn't be able to give them insights on how I would help them as an e-commerce, which is a very different industries, and the write-offs are different, significantly different. So that's another example of that. And those testimonials, now we have privacy concerns over here. So if you are a client of mine, I am not going to send you to I'm not going to give you one of my clients to get a reference. I'm not going to do that, because it's, how they have in medical, they have HIPAA violation. Well, it's HIPAA violation in the tax industry. It's not called that, but it's a violation of your privacy, and I'm not going to do that. However, I do encourage my clients to leave reviews and leave testimonies. So I'll share those reviews and testimonies on my website. And also, if you Google Profit First Taxes, you will see the reviews that previous clients have made, and that information, they'll list their industry or they'll list their business names, and you can get that information from that resource. So it's the same with your professional. If you're sitting with them for the first time, or even, as I said, you've been with them for a while and you want to ask them these questions now. You didn't ask it a year before, but you want to ask them those questions now. You are well within your right to do so. And if their answers are not aligning with where you are trying to be and the changes that you're trying to make now for your business, then it's time for you to reconsider that relationship, that partnership, and maybe seek out someone else using these questions so that you can work with another professional who more aligns with where you are. So number 4, what's your approach to tax planning? So that's a big one, because it's a big one. I say it because when it comes to tax planning, it's individualized. So if I do a tax planning with you, it may be very different from a tax plan that I might do for your cousin or for another business owner. It's very much individualized to a particular person or a particular business. So understanding their approach to tax planning, and are they proactive in finding savings opportunities? How do they tailor their strategies to individual clients' needs? How are they going to be able to help you particularly? Because you don't care about how they help Susie Q over there. You want to know, how can they help me? How can they help you? This question will help you gauge their expertise and suitability for your business. So I'm going to get you, to stress something here. Now, you come to me and say, okay, what is your approach to tax planning? I'm going to talk to you about different strategies and things that we use on a general. I'm not going to give you specific on how I'm going to help you with tax planning, because essentially you might not have paid me for this service, and I'm not going to lay out the blueprint for you and you didn't pay that invoice yet. You pay that invoice and then you get the blueprint. But before then, it will be a general statement on how I potentially help business owners when it comes to tax planning. So that's something similar what you may receive when you ask this question to other reputable professionals as well. Now, when you ask about tax planning and they're not really, you can tell, like I said, you can tell based on people's responses. Follow your intuitions, listen to your gut, and trust yourself. If it don't sound right, it's not right. Go with your first instinct. So if something seems off, it's off. Trust and believe that. So based on their responses, you will know if this is a good fit for you or not. And that's why the more you educate yourself on what to do and what not to do, the better equipped you would be to pick out those people who are just doing data entry. And I say data entry because anybody can do data entry. I taught my niece and nephew how to do data entry, and they were doing tax returns. Essentially, they were plugging in the information. However, they were not actually going through and finding credits and things like that. That was my job. They inputted the information. At the time, they were probably like, 13 and maybe 16. They were inputting the information, but they weren't actually filing your taxes because they don't know that. That is data entry. That was the basic level. I could teach anybody to do that. I could teach anybody off the street. As long as you can read and write and follow simple instructions, I can teach you data entry. Put this information into this software, and that's it. That is data entry. However, coming up with the plan, the approach, the strategies, what are we going to do to get you from where you are to get you to where you want to go? That is all a part of tax plan strategies and tax planning, and that is more than just data entry. So is it going to be, are the person proactive or reactive? And reactive mean you come to them to do your taxes and they react at that time. Okay, let's do what we can do. Versus if you might have been with them for a while, are they proactive, where they can, based on your industry or based on you as an individual, they know what you can potentially do to increase your chances of not increase, decrease the chances of you getting an audit potentially, or also give you more credits and educate you on the different areas and the things that you can do to maximize your deductions, your credits, your refunds, whatever it is, places you can input your money and what you can purchase now, what you can wait for later, things like that falls under tax planning. Can they answer those questions? Proactive versus reactive. If you don't remember anything I say, remember those two words: proactive before, reactive after. Okay. So next question, number 5. What are your communication and billing policies? So this is a very important one. You want to clarify their communication and billing policies. How often will they update you? What's your response time for inquiries? Understanding these practicalities upfront help to prevent misunderstandings in the future. So oftentimes, many of you may have professionals right now who you do not hear from until tax season. You come to them to do your taxes. They get your taxes done. They send you pay your money or however you guys do the transaction. They complete your tax return. They send it to you. It's e-filed, and that's the end of the relationship. Rinse and repeat next year. We'll see you in 11 months when we start this all over again, or maybe even 12 or 13 months. We start this over again. Do you want a relationship like that? Some of you like it. You like it. I love it. And that may work for you, but that is not the best approach because things change throughout the year. your situation changed throughout the year and you want to be in contact with your professional. You want to be in contact with your financial advisor, with your tax professional, your accountant, if they're just not the same people. It's several different people that you should be in contact throughout the year, especially when major things happen in your life, major changes. Did you get married? Did you get divorced? Did you have a baby? Unfortunately, did you lose a child? Those are those are major life-changing events that you need to let your professional know, because you may have to move differently based on the gain or the loss. So if you got married, or if you add a baby, then it's some things that you may do to increase your tax refund possibly, or stop paying as much into taxes because now you have an additional dependent. So instead of paying the additional tax that you may be paying out of your W-2 if you have a job and you have a business, or the additional amount that you're paying for your estimated tax payment, you may reduce the amount because now you have a dependent. And when it comes to getting married, I don't care if you got married at 11:55 p.m. on December 31st. Based on the IRS standards, you've married. That you've been married the entire year. So if that happened to you in 2023, you were considered married the entire year, and you can file with your spouse as married filing jointly. Of course, if you got married January 1st, then that don't apply to you. At 12 o'clock a.m. onward, it was a whole new year. But as long as it was before midnight on December 31st, you were considered married that year, and you can file filing jointly. So I just did tax planning with you live on the web, okay? So those are some of the questions that you want to ask in terms of communication. When those laws change, are they going to send you an email correspondence throughout the year? Are you going to hear from them every quarter, every 6 months, every couple of months, every couple of weeks, whatever? You want to discuss that. And of course, when it comes to billing, how are they going to be doing the billing? Some tax professionals, and I used to do it at one point, I would allow my clientele, the ones who wanted this option, to pay with their refund. My clientele, I'd no longer allow you to pay with your refund, because nobody's trying to wait to get paid. When you work, you don't want to wait to get paid. I don't want to wait to get paid either. I want to get paid when the work has been done immediately. I don't want to have to wait. And after being burned by a handful of clients, it was less than a handful, probably about at least 3 clients who did not pay. And it was over a year, 2 years for some, and some is going on 3 years. They have not paid. I do not want to have to wait for my money until you decide to pay me. So I no longer offer pay with your refund. You pay me before it gets submitted. No money, no worky. Okay. So question number 6, how do you handle IRS audits and disputes? Because you never know. Somebody, you might get examination, or, like I said, the fancy word for audit or dispute. You may come up for an examination. You may get audited. You may have some type of dispute that you need to do. You want to ask them, how do you handle that? So inquire about their experience in handling the audits and the disputes. Their response will tell you their expertise in dealing with complex tax issues and their ability to support you in challenging situations. So if you say, well, you know what, if I was working with you and I got a letter, how would you handle that? And listen to their response. Well, if you got this letter, you have audit protection. Well, this is my response. You got audit protection. Everybody that filed their taxes, you are paying for audit protection, and it protects you for that tax year. So if you ever got a letter based on a tax return that I filed for you, we'll look at it, and then we'll go from there on how we can fix this issue. Sometimes it's a matter of just submitting some documents. We'll tell you what documents you need to submit. You get that submitted off. Other times it may require something more than that. Sometimes it may that audit may not have been from something from that year. It might have been years before that I wasn't working with you. And of course, at that point in time, we will discuss pricing on how I could potentially help you. So those are that's a response that I would give someone asking me that question. I'm not going to go into the details on how I'm going to dispute it, in its entirety. I don't have enough time on this recording to even get into all of that. That's a bit too much. Those are some of the questions that you want to ask. Other thing is, I'm going to pull up on the IRS site. So let me go to share my lovely screen here. So let's go to, all right, here we are. So we are sharing the screen right now. So here it is on the IRS website. So you can just Google. This is what I did because I wanted to do it just like I would if it was, I didn't know anything about this and I needed to find a tax professional. So I literally went into Google and I put in how to find a tax professional on the IRS site. That's what I put in. So once I did that, it pops up. Okay. So this is the screen. It says find qualified tax professionals using the IRS website resource. And if you just Google it, it comes to this page. You can just, you click on it and it can give you valuable resources. So it has things like selecting a tax professional, preparers, tax identification number, which is called P10. So this is something that your professional must have. Every tax professional that is going to be electronically filing your tax return have to have a preparer's tax identification number. It's like a business ID or a social security number for that tax professional for tax purposes only. If they do not have this, then when they file your taxes, they're going to have your signature in the spot where their signature should be. It would say self-prepared because they can't legally sign it because they are not credentialed. They don't have the P10. Now they're really credentialed. They don't have this P10 identifier. So you need to be able to see if they have this P10 or not. And they can be able to tell you the number, show it to you, or you can look it up. You can how to choosing a tax professional. We're going to go over some of the things that I just mentioned and maybe a few others. There's a directory of federal tax return preparers with credentials and select qualifications. So if you click on this, and I'm going to click on it in a second so you guys can see where it's going to take you. This is where you can look up the tax preparer to see if they are credentialed or not. And then, of course, they have the annual filing season program. So this is every year, usually between, I think, October to December 31st, I think is the last day. You can go through and you do some continuing education. So you go through the course, and I think it's like 16 hours for like, I don't remember exactly, 16 hours or something for like laws and ethics. And then for like, it's broken up in 3 different categories, and you have hours that you have to complete. And then there's an exam that you take after that, and they give you a nice little certification. So I posted mine on social media. If anyone ever asks me, hey, do you have that certification or something? I can just pull it up and sure, here it is, and show it to you. And it has my P10 on it and everything. You can look me up. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen because I think the way I had it, it's not going to share the entire thing. So let me do it again so that it shows everything that I want to share with you. So where is it? And give me 1 second because my stuff is all over the place. Windows. All right, here's the screen here. Share. So hopefully now when I click on it, it'll go to the next one. All right, so directory. I'm going to click on that. Okay, I'm on the right one now. All right, so here's directory of federal tax return preparers with credentials and select qualifications. So it says anyone with a preparer tax identification number, P10, can prepare a tax return for a client. However, tax return preparers have different levels of skills, education, and expertise. So if you come down here where it says on the right panel, it says credentials. These are the different credentials that you have to get your P10. Also, you can have a P10 and not have any one of these credentials. So I'm gonna go through these, but a tax professional can have a P10 and be a reputable tax professional, and they may not have a P10 credentials because they did not go through the annual filing season or any of these other credentials they may not have had, but they are still able to do taxes because they have that P10. Now, based on the questions that I told you should ask, will determine if you want to continue on with them if they don't fall into these categories of credentials here. So some of the credentials is attorney, of course. That's the lawyers. Next is a certified public accountant or a CPA. Next is an enrolled agent, which I should have been already, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Enrolled actuary credentials, and then enrolled retirement plan agent credentials. And then they have other qualifications, and then that's annual filing season program participant. That's the one that I spoke to you about, that falls between October and the last day of the year. And you can go ahead and do this and get. So all of these credentials require certifications that you have to have continuing education every year, and you have to renew in order to continue with this. So here's the search form. You come down where it says search for tax return preparer. So you put in the country of where the tax person is, their zip code, and the distance from that zip code. You put in their last name, and then you check off whatever credentials they told you that they have, and then you hit the search, and their name will populate if they have a credentials or not. If they do not, and they say that they did, well, already know you don't want to work with them because they don't lie to you. Or it could be very possible that the system didn't update yet because their credentials was fairly new and it didn't update, so they may not have been on the list. But you definitely want to check this out. So again, when you look at your tax returns, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen now because we're done with that. When you look at the tax return, after when they're getting ready to file it, before they file that return, you should be reviewing it. They should be reviewing it with you, or they may submit it for you to review it yourself. Either way, you scroll on down to where on that second page of the 1040. So it'll say 1040, and it'll have that page 1, and then it'll have that second page right where it tells you if you owe money or if you're getting any money back. This is for on individual filers. It'll have a signature block on the bottom there somewhere. Excuse me. And on there, your signature goes on the top part, you and your spouse, if you're filing together. And then on the bottom part, it'll have the tax preparer's name and their signature, or maybe a PIN, like a 5-digit PIN. And of course, it'll have their P10 number, which is, how many letters is this, numbers is this P10? Let me see how much is mine. Mine starts with P0, and then it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers after that. So it's P0 and then 7 numbers. You'll have that number there. If you do not see that on the return, then that is not a tax professional. That is not a legit professional. They can't technically file your return. So if you looked at that, go back now and look at old tax returns that you have. And if you see your signature in the part that says preparer, if it says self-prepared, then you are the one who's responsible for that return, not the person who actually prepared it because they were not credentialed or they did not have a P10. So you do not want to see your name in the part where the tax professional's information should be. It should only be that tax preparer and their P10 information and their credentials there, okay? So those are some of the questions that you definitely want to ask. And of course, you can ask about years of experience and things like that. I'm not a big fan on years of experience because someone could be in business for 2 years versus someone who's been in business for 15 years. And the person who's been in business for 2 years can be more up to date than the person who's been in business for 15 years. Personal experience that I've had with myself and, and other people that I know. So years, I don't really stress that so much. Some of you may want to have the years as something as your determining factor. If they've been in business 10, 15 years, you may be more comfortable with someone who has been in the business that long. Someone who's been in business a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years may not float your boat, and you might say no. I'm just telling you my personal preference and experience and expertise. I don't hold so much weight on years in service. I focus more on, can you do the work? Can you do the job? Are you knowledgeable? It doesn't matter if it's been a year or been 15 years. Okay. So here's a case study. So consider The case of a small business owner who switched tax professionals after realizing her previous accountant rarely offered proactive advice. Remember that word, proactive, when it comes to tax planning. Her new tax professional experience in her particular industry not only optimized her tax return, but also provided strategic advice leading to significant tax savings. Mic drop, boom. So you want a situation like this to be your situation, not the first part, but of course the second part where you're actually working with someone who's also going to be working with you. It should be a partnership and you work together. You should not feel like you're just submitting documents and they're doing data entry, as I just mentioned, because again, my 13-year-old at the time niece and my 16-year-old at the time nephew, they did data entry and did a darn good job too. But I wasn't going to trust them to file your tax returns because they did not have the expertise or the knowledge to be able to do that. But they can do some darn good data entry. And as many of your professionals right now they're professional data entry, but that's it. They won't do any proactive advice for you, which is going to lead to tax planning and lead you to saving money and paying the least amount of taxes and giving you a leg up in your business. They're not going to be able to do that. So in conclusion, selecting the right tax professionals is a very important decision for you and your business. You want to take the time to ask these questions to ensure that you find someone who aligns with your business goals and can provide the expert advice. So I'm going to give you some teasers. Y'all ready for the teasers? So next up, which is going to be on Monday. Monday, what date is Monday? Monday is the 15th, which is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 17th is when the deadline is going to be for you to pay your estimated taxes for the last quarter. So generally it's the 15th, but I think it's a holiday. Martin Luther King, I think, is that Monday. So that's why it's the Wednesday, 2 days later. It's going to be when it's due. So you guys want to make sure that you do your estimated taxes. If you haven't done it all year, you definitely want to do it this time so that you can get it all out the way by, I would say, go ahead and do it by Monday. But if not, you have until Wednesday to do that. So Monday the 15th will be when this is going to air next, where we're going to dive into a practical guide for completing Schedule Cs. So I'm going to walk you through how to complete a Schedule C. So if you have a business and you're a 1099, you're an independent contractor, or somewhere you receive a 1099, non-employee compensation, 1099 NEC, this is going to apply to you because you're going to file your taxes and you're going to file your income on what's called the Schedule C, profit and loss. If you are considered sole proprietor, so you don't have an LLC, it's just you operating as your Social Security number or you using an EIN number, you're going to file using a Schedule C. If you have an LLC, you're going to file using a Schedule C, unless you have an identifier, the S Corp or the C Corp, then you're not going to use the Schedule C. You're going to use a different tax form to do your return. So we're going to do Schedule Cs for LLCs, sole proprietors, and those 1099 individuals. We're going to talk about that. So I'm going to walk you through how to complete it. So you definitely don't want to miss that. So whether you're new in business or you're looking to refine your approach, Schedule C Simplified, a step-by-step guide, is going to be very important, an important, essential session for you entrepreneurs. So you do not want to miss it. Make sure you come back Monday, the 15th, so that you can catch that. So in closing, thank you for joining in today's session. We went a little bit longer than, that I usually been doing, because I have kind of cut it down to like maybe 7 minutes, 10 minutes. But when we get on into tax season and we start talking about these taxes and things like that, I can get a bit long-winded. So I hope you guys appreciate the information. So thanks you again for joining this session. I hope you've enjoyed it. So please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell everybody. Your journey to smarter tax decision starts with the right partner. So I'll see you in the next video, and I hope you guys have a great and wonderful weekend. Have a great day.